What is up, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com for another edition of our daily drop. I'm Jacob Turner. He's Andrew Jones. And AJ, fun little topic to talk about right here concerning Armando Bacot. Obviously, senior night is later this evening against Notre Dame, and it's definitely going to be Armando Bacot's last game in the Smith Center. Could potentially be RJ's too, but we're just going to focus on Armando in this one because we know for sure this is 100% going to be Armando's last game as a Carolina player in the Smith Center. But AJ, before we dive into Armando for a second, I want to give a shout out to an awesome sponsorship promo we've got going on right now that gives you the ability to get some really, really cheap tickets to the Carolina Duke game this Saturday in Durham. Tickets drop on Wednesday. I'm going to put a link to the description, a link in the description below for this. All you have to do, let me read off the ticket packages real quick too. There'll be 4 ticket packages available. This is through the Autograph app. Again, the links will be in the description below. That'll take you right through to the website or the app store, depending on what you're doing it on. And you can sign up. The promo code's linked in there already, which is THI. It's super, super easy to do. But 4 ticket packages available. Each ticket package is $32 and includes 2 tickets in Section 3, Row O, and Section 2, Row N. And AJ is a guy who's covered many games in Cameron Indoor, as you have. I've been there a few times. There isn't a bad seat in the house in Cameron Indoor Stadium, for being completely honest with you.
You're in the house.
You are in there, and for that, I highly, I've done it one time courtside. It was an amazing experience, and I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity to attend a Carolina Duke game in Cameron, to do it. And this gives you an awesome opportunity to do so. Again, tickets drop on Wednesday only in the Autograph app. Click the link in the description below. It's going to take you through the sign-up process. The referral code THI will already be in there if you follow the link that's in our description, and you can go in there and get signed up for a chance to get those. So guys, go take advantage of that. Awesome 4 ticket packages. Get them quick, but it's an awesome opportunity to potentially get some really, really cheap tickets to the Carolina Duke game this Saturday. Again, full drop details are in the Autograph app. I'm going to say it again for the last time. Just click the link in the description below. It's incredibly easy and super easy to do. So, I mean, what else to say, AJ? I mean, you're talking about $32 for 2 tickets to a Carolina Duke game in Cameron Indoor. That's about it.
I'm not going to go on and on, but how can they do that? It's an amazing business concept. They do it with a lot of stuff. And I was explained last week what the concept is, because I want to make sure that I could answer some questions when people ask, is this legit? Of course it's legit. Yeah. There's a lot of funding behind this business. They have grown a ton in a couple of years. So it's really neat. And we're going to do some more stuff with them through the month of March. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out for some of those things as well. But we're going to, whatever they come up with, we'll be popping them out on some of these videos and all over our platforms, Twitter, Facebook, on our site. Mm-hmm. So make sure you're constantly checking for what they've got coming next.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity, again, to get some really cheap tickets to the Carolina Duke game. But got to sign up quickly as they're dropping on Wednesday, March 6th. So links in the description below. Go ahead and get that signed up ASAP. But AJ, let's dive into Armando Bacot real quick. I mean, a guy, fifth season here in Chapel Hill, feels like he's been around the program forever. I think Hubert Davis was even joking about a little bit about that in his conference call earlier today, but is going to leave as a guy all-time leading rebounder, all-time in double-doubles in Carolina. We've talked about it a lot, but his jersey is going to end up being in those Dean Smith Center rafters, and they definitely should be. But unique guy for me too. He obviously came in the year before the COVID year, as I like to call it. I remember we were in the ACC tournament in Greensboro when everything kind of got shut down after Carolina's game, which was funny enough the last one before COVID. And just crazy to look back on that time, to think of covering him that first year to where he is now. I know it feels like an eternity ago for us as people who've been in it for 5 years, but just an amazing career that he's had. And it's been really fun to see him come in as, kind of a young 18-year-old and, leaving North Carolina now as a fully grown man at this point with how long he's been around. So talk to me a little bit about Armando and just your perspective on having covered him for the last 5 years.
Well, I guess you can say I've covered more Armando games than anybody else I've ever covered at North Carolina. And I really like him. I like him for a lot of reasons. As a journalist, I like him because he gives us gold. He's gold.
Good interview.
Journalist. He's a great interview. He tells you what's up. He's really honest. I love that. He's super, super smart. He's very aware. He's got peripheral vision without having to look like this. So I enjoy that and appreciate that. And I really enjoyed watching him grow up and mature. And he's been different this year than last year. He understands what's out there. He knows, well, there's going to be an asterisk. There won't be an asterisk next to the fact that he's the all-time leading rebounder. He did that in 4 years, but there will be some other things. May end up number 2 in scoring, which is very interesting. But the thing I really like about Armando is how he doesn't get defensive about things that don't go well for him. You know, he struggled the other night finishing at the rim, and he's so open talking about it. And that's why, there are a lot of guys that aren't really open for various reasons. Some players don't like talking about their struggles. Some players don't even like talking about themselves. He is really fine talking about himself. He's fine talking about others. He'll talk about Hubert. He would talk about Roy. And usually what he says, I think for the most part, take seriously. He jokes a lot, but there's a lot of seriousness in there. And I go back to when he was a freshman. He had a terrible December when he was a freshman. Awful. And people are wondering, because when he came in, some people thought, man, he might be one and done because Cole would be one and done. He's one of Cole's boys and all that stuff. And I'll never forget talking to him. It was in early January of his freshman year about his struggles. And he's like, yeah, man, I was hearing voices in my head. Everything was going so wrong. And if you remind him about that now, he laughs and smiles. But he was honest as a freshman when he had no idea what the hell was going on yet. And he's grown into a really impressive dude. He's impressive on so many levels. And he's a guy who appreciates where he is. He takes very seriously what's on the front of his uniform. You know, he gets too much abuse from fans because he doesn't finish around the rim the way they wish he would. But I've said for 2 months now, stop harping on it. You know what he is. It's who he's been. He's not going to jump through the roof suddenly. It's God didn't give him those gifts, and he knows it. And sometimes he flushes, sometimes he doesn't flush. But he loves that uniform. He loves representing his program. He knows the history of the program. He's well aware of who he's passed and who he's approaching on a lot of these lists. And he also is saying this year, yeah, but it's my 5th year. You know, here's a guy who's a pound the chest dude. There's a little look at me in him at times, at least there has been, but there's not this year. It's about business. It's about putting stuff up in the rafters. And in a second, we could talk about the jersey and the rafters because there's a lot of people saying, yeah, well, if he's not first team or second team All-America or an ACC Player of the Year, he's not going to get it. Well, we'll address that in a second. But personally, I really like him. If I have talked to him when the recorder's not on. I had a pretty interesting quick few seconds in Charlottesville last week. He's just a good guy. He's a regular guy. He loves to have fun, but he loves to be serious too. And regardless of how long his basketball career is, he's going to have a lot of success after basketball. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely no doubt about that. And 45 different, you put out a tweet earlier today, 45 different teammates in his time in Chapel Hill, which I think just illustrates how long he's been a part of the North Carolina program. And amazing, obviously, career. A lot of ups and a lot of downs in it. But man, if he could end this year with a national championship, or at least another run in the tournament, how special would that be? But AJ, let's talk about the Rafters real quick before we head on out of here.
By the way, very quickly, I just thought of something. I want to jump in. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
His freshman year was Brandon Robinson's senior year. Brandon Robinson was teammates with Stillman White, who was teammates with Tyler Zeller.
I know. Isn't that insane?
So Armando was teammates with a guy who was teammates with a dude on the 2009 national championship team. Think about that. That's wild. Now Stillman had a hiatus and came back because they had the Mormon LDS mission, but it's still there. Right? It's still there. That's just, I like sometimes to connect the dots. It's follow the bouncing ball, and the bouncing ball takes us all the way back to 2009. Yeah. And it's now 24. That's amazing. Some wild stuff.
Amazing that Armando Bacot has a connection in some way, shape, or form to the 09 national championship team. But if you put it that way, he definitely does. That's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because that is super interesting when you think about it. But going back to the Rafters conversation, talk to me a little bit about that, because for me, when you look at what he's accomplished, for me, again, AJ, it's that rebound, that's that double-double record that was set during his fourth season.
Yeah.
You can't take that away from him. There's no fifth year involved with that. I know some of it's I know there's going to be more rebounds added to it, and it'll be harder for people to break in the future because of that fifth season. Yeah. The fact of the matter is those records were broken in his fourth season. When you look at the career he's had, and I know I think we did a drop a long time ago, maybe a year ago, where we talked about maybe Carolina changes some of that criteria for players to get in the Rafters, because some of that criteria, like, representing your team in the Olympics while at the university doesn't happen anymore. So some of those criteria aren't valid at this point anymore. So we've talked about it before too, of Armando should be in the Rafters. That's my personal opinion. I think you agree with that. And it looks like he's going to be in the Rafters in the Smith Center. Give us a little bit more information on that, because for me, again, it's much deserved in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'll probably we will do more a separate drop on specifically on the Rafters after his career is over, when we know exactly what the career is.
Yeah.
Once there's a bow put on it, then we can really look at it and say, okay, well, this is what this guy did. We understand the criteria, but the criteria is not etched in stone. That's one of the misconceptions that people have. It has been altered and tweaked, and they have pivoted. If we're going to take a Hubert Davisism here and apply it to the criteria, because they added MOP of the Final Four and MVP of a national championship team about 10 years or so ago. And that's what got Donald Williams up there, because he was MOP in 93. Got George Lynch up there because he was the team MVP that year, and got him up there as well. So that's why Joel Berry's up there, because of MOP in 2017. So I think one of the things that you'll probably see added, maybe two things, and I have suggested this in a couple different forums, articles, pods, and stuff, and I will lay it out there again now. I think because the ACC has expanded so much, and because guys don't always stick around, if you're a two-time first-team All-ACC, I think you should get your jersey up there. In addition, though, and I think that will be added at some point, but I think this thing that I'm going to say here in a second will be added this offseason. This is my hunch, and some of it's based on conversations over in Chapel Hill. If you become the all-time leader in a major statistical area, you have to have your jersey up there, because some guy in Idaho didn't put you on the first team or second team All-America shouldn't take away from the fact that you achieved what you achieved. It's a different world with the voting now. Maybe Carolina guys got the benefit of the doubt in the 70s and 80s because they were so high profile and we didn't see everybody in the country back then. Maybe now it's totally different. Maybe now there's a sort of an anti-ACC sentiment out there. RJ Davis getting pushed for National Player of the Year, and I read comments in these threads. Well, look what league he plays in. Like, really? Like,
come on.
To quote Brett Friedlander, my head's going to freaking explode.
Shut up, Brett.
I mean, that's ridiculous. So he's the all-time leader in rebounds, did it in 4 years. If they did that, that would also put Ed Coda's jersey up there because he's the all-time leader in assists. I believe that will change this year. Armando will get his jersey up there. Mark my word. His jersey will hang in the rafters, and when he comes back at some point next year during a game, at halftime, they will honor him. They will present him with the jersey, and up it will go into the rafters. So he'll get that, and I think he should. And there are a lot of things already in his career that he's done that's very unique. That run 2 years ago was a very important run for this program's history. It was very important for them to kind of dip their hand back into the nationally relevant bucket, which they hadn't been for a couple of years. Roy's last 2 years didn't go that great. They didn't have a great regular season. All of a sudden, here they are, North Carolina, the 8th seed, and they're playing in the national championship. And he's the only guy to ever have a double-double in all 6 games in the NCAA tournament. So that says something. And quite frankly, if he's healthy, maybe Hubert has a national title in year 1.
It's a great point. So, it really is. It's a great point right there, AJ. It really is.
And he would have been MOP.
Yeah, 100%.
His jersey would go up. So, or maybe Caleb.
Yeah, that's a good point. He was pretty
wild if Caleb's jersey was up and he's getting honored at Arizona last night.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think it'll happen. But you know what? I also think that fans need to appreciate him Tuesday night. This
Agreed.
guy could have gone a lot of places. There were a lot of schools that would have forked over a truckload of money to have him go, but he is a true Tar Heel.
Mm-hmm.
He loves this university. He loves it not just for basketball. He loves it for the academics, the Keenan Flagler Business School. He loves it for the platform. I think he enjoys being on that kind of a stage. And I'll tell you what, we don't know what this team's going to do, but there aren't a whole lot of teams around the country in which basically their two best players have been through it before. They were there 2 years ago. Some people say, boy, it looks like they pace themselves in games sometimes. Well, they got two guys who are on a team in which their coach admits they were tired at halftime of the national championship game and they ran out of gas. So these guys know what they're doing, and Armando's a big part of it. You and I were on the baseline the other day when the players got together. It was after their stretching, I think it was.
Yep.
And Armando was the guy talking in there. He reminded me of Cedric Gray in football. That's the most animated I've seen Armando talking to the team. He don't like NC State. He's like Roy. He and Roy could sit down and share stories of hatred for NC State, right? So if they make a run, he's going to be a significant part of it, obviously, but also what he and RJ have already been through and them educating the rest of the team, them picking their brains about what it's like. Armando's going to be huge with that because he's going to be straight up with him. So will RJ. And by the way, RJ may or not be back. We could deal with that at the end of the year, but we thought that Armando deserved his own drop heading into this game. We weren't going to do one for Tuesday, but I started thinking more about it, and I looked at that list. I tweeted that list out. I'm like, we got to do something.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was fully on board with that too, because he definitely deserves one in my opinion. And last thing I'll say before we head on out of here, NIL. I think he's a guy. I've thought about this because NIL kind of kicked in when Armando was here. I think he's a guy we'll look back at in 10, 15, 20 years as college basketball continues to develop, as NIL continues to develop and grow in college sports, and say he was kind of that first guy at North Carolina that actually really, really did it. I mean, AJ, he posts a different deal on his Instagram about every day. I mean, he's absolutely killing it on the NIL side. I look at him as kind of a guy who kind of paved the way for North Carolina players. I know it's a big university and you're always going to get a lot of NIL attention here, but when history, when you look back at 15, 20 years, you're going to look at Armando and be like, that was the first guy who really did it and really did it right.
He's the NIL bar for Carolina basketball. In fact, when I have discussions with people about the decision RJ is going to have to make, Armando comes into the conversation because they ask, will he get Armando money? And I'm like, well, let's see what they do in the next month. If they have a really good month, I think RJ has a chance to get Armando money, which might affect RJ's decision because he may end up making more at Chapel Hill than he would even in a two-way contract with the NBA. So, yeah, Armando money is going to be a term that we use when guys have to make decisions. And especially like Harrison Ingram. I think Harrison will be back simply because I don't think he would go super high in the NBA draft. And he might be able to enhance his stock a little bit more or just get more prepared to stick when he does go. So what kind of money would Harrison Ingram get in NIL? He is a gregarious guy with a great smile and personality. You'd have to be a fool to not want guys like Harrison Ingram and RJ Davis pitching your products. But the model and the standard is Armando, because Armando's got those same qualities too. He was the first one. So if RJ could pick up some of Armando's deals, if we start seeing RJ do Jimmy Seafood, then RJ's coming back, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to know how much Jimmy Seafood Armando has consumed too. That would be a pretty cool factoid. But yeah, Armando, the Carolina players who generally become known by their first name with fans, but there'll never be another Armando.
No.
They'll probably never have another guy named Armando, and there'll never be another unique dude like Armando is unique. And I think that's cool. People should appreciate whatever he's got left. Stop bitching and moaning about him not finishing at the rim sometimes. He is who he is. He rebounds like a beast. He's been phenomenal defensively this year, about 95% of the time. He's had a much better season with the floor game than ever before, and he's more an NBA prospect now than he's ever been because of those things. So appreciate him. Appreciate the guy.
Yeah,
I know as a journalist and somebody who loves basketball in particular, I don't root for North Carolina, but as a journalist and somebody who loves ball, I appreciate him a lot.
And AJ, you can go ahead and bet your house on this. There will be many a tweets next year for whoever the heck's starting at the 5 for North Carolina when they're having a poor game. You're going to see tweets all over the place like, man, I wish we had Armando back. Armando would have finished that. Armando wouldn't have done that. God, it's just written in the stars. And you know that's coming. I'll have to pull this clip up when that first tweet comes next year. I'm going to have this snippet and clip it on Twitter.
When suddenly ball screens are not a strength, people are going to miss Armando.
Oh, it's like clockwork going to happen. Bet everything you got on it because it's going to happen at some point next year, which again just illustrates the really good career that Armando's had. So yeah, should get a very loud ovation on Tuesday night in the Smith Center. Hopefully he'll go out with a win as well, and hopefully he'll go out with a win this weekend against Duke too. So Armando Bacot, like this video if you love Armando, if you've enjoyed his career so far in Chapel Hill, and AJ, still a lot of basketball potentially left too. What's to say he doesn't ultimately hang a banner for the Tar Heels? I don't think it's outside of the realms of possibilities.
He could have 11 more games. He could have 11 more games.
Never know, man. You never know. Carolina fans will definitely be hoping for that. So we will see what happens. But again, give Armando his flowers now. You don't know what you got till it's gone. I think a lot of Carolina fans will realize that next season when Armando's no longer there. But I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Another edition of the Daily Drop. Appreciate y'all watching as always. Keep it locked to charlottestrade.com. All your coverage of North Carolina football, basketball, and recruiting. You can sign up for just $8.33 a month. And for the last time, AJ, head on over to the Autograph app. Links in the description below. Sign up. The referral code will already be linked there. But if it isn't, referral code is THI. And tickets will be released on Wednesday. Just $32 for ticket packages available for Carolina Duke this weekend. Get signed up on the app. Go get those. Amazing opportunity to see a once in a lifetime event. It really is. If you can do it for that price, man, it doesn't get any better than that. Big thank you to Autograph for helping us out and being a sponsor with us right now. Thanks for watching, guys. See y'all next time.
Thanks.